About to roll a paper plane while we on it. If we fall from the top, we'll be soaring. Gotta learn to love yourself cause you're gorgeous. Yeah. Wake up, it's time to get ready. Go out, it's time to get ready. Make love, it's time to get ready. Time to get ready, time to get ready. Whoa. Wake up, it's time to get ready. Go out, it's time to get ready. Make love, it's time to get ready. Time to get ready, time to get ready. Whoa.
Yo, what is happening? YouTube, Spotify, or any platform you are listening or watching us. It's another edition of the Off the Bench podcast. It's your boys Jorge and Roland. Breaking news out of the gate. Two-time All-Pro guard David DeCastro has been released by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baffling move. I guess when you draft Najee Harris, you don't need an offensive line.
Apparently not. Apparently it falls right on the shoulders of the running back now.
So I don't know if they have some kind of deal going on where he's taking a pay cut for whatever reason or what, but this is quite abrupt. And I think there's going to be half a dozen teams at least chomping at the bit to try to sign him immediately. I know my Jets need offensive line help at guard. Your Carolina Panthers need guard help. That's just two out of a number of teams that are definitely going to
two out of 29 teams in the NFL that could definitely use his services.
So it's just a shocking move. They didn't say anything as to why. They just announced it that they released him. No clue, no details. Well, if we get further details, we'll let you know. But that's the big breaking news. Also, big congratulations to Eli Manning. He's getting his number 10 jersey retired, and I believe he's also getting a role with the team as some sort of consultant or mentor or something like that, where he's working with the front office. So good for him. He's done a lot for that Giants organization, and glad to see that he's still a part.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's shocked by that.
No.
A lot of people, I know that there's that ranging debate is he a Hall of Famer or not.
I think he is.
At the end of the day, 2 Super Bowl wins. You can decide right there how many people have 2 Super Bowl wins with the amount of yards he's thrown for and touchdowns that don't get into the Hall of Fame. It speaks for itself. Much congratulations, like you said, to him. And I like to see how he does now with helping turn that Giants organization around because they need it.
Yeah, and they've done a lot of help this offseason for Daniel Jones, so we'll see that hopefully Daniel Jones, and now that Eli Manning is in the building, that Daniel Jones will talk to Eli Manning a lot more often now and try to build and stay a New York Giant and hold on to that mantle as the franchise quarterback with all those weapons they built around him. Congratulations to Eli Manning. Real quick, because not even quick, we have to dive into this because the Sixers got eliminated by the Atlanta Hawks. And the Atlanta Hawks have come out of nowhere. Like, we knew Trae Young was good, but damn, this man is superstar level at this point. He took the top 5 defense in the NBA in the New York Knicks and just completely broke them apart. Beat them in 5 games. It almost seemed like it was a courtesy. It was a gentleman's sweep, the way it ended.
Yeah.
But he went into the most, I want to say, one of the most dangerous areas in basketball in playoff time in New York, in Madison Square Garden, where the crowd is loud and it was roaring and just one of the toughest places to play, one of the best places to play.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a guy like Trae Young who's trying to cement himself as a star athlete in the NBA. He beat the Knicks in 5, ripped their hearts out after a huge successful season. They were the 5 seed, Knicks were the 4 seed, technically an upset. They go in the second round playing the number 1 seeded Sixers, and immediately from game 1, they steal one from home. They stole a road game from the Knicks. They stole a road game from the Sixers, both in game 1. When I first saw that, I thought, okay, Joel Embiid isn't healthy. The Sixers couldn't compete with a injured Embiid that wasn't 100%. Hawks took advantage, but I still had the Sixers winning in 5 because with a healthy Embiid, I thought Simmons would just attack the paint and be the facilitator that he is. They would have at least just beaten them in 5. However,
Yep.
however, Ben Simmons apparently he admitted. I don't remember if it was game 3 or game 4 where he admitted that most of his issues this series were mental.
Mental.
And he admitted it to himself. It's one thing where it's just, oh, it was a tough crowd. Like I was exhausted. I gave everything on the court. But when you openly admit that you're not mentally prepared for these closeout games to bring your team back, and it's all on Joel Embiid's shoulders, it's not much Doc Rivers can do. It's not much the rest of his teammates can do. It's all on Ben Simmons. And now, turns out, Trae Young took advantage of that. And it's wild because this series should have been done in 5. It should have been over in 5 games. And they had 10, 20-point leads going to the fourth quarter, and the Hawks always came back. And they would hack a Simmons. They had to bench Simmons. And then there was that obvious moment where Ben Simmons had an open look for a dunk in the clutch moments with 3 minutes to go. And because he lacked all the confidence to go in and get that and one dunk.
Yep.
And
So afraid to go to the free throw line. Yep.
That he just passed up the shot. Embiid even said in the post-game interview in Game 7, that was the turning point. When we had an open look and we gave it up and we only got 1 out of 2 free throws. Where it could have been a completely different story, changed the momentum if Ben Simmons dunked. Even if he missed the free throw, you still dunked. You still showed dominance.
You still had a guaranteed 2 points. And I know if some people are a little hesitant on the play to remember, it was Trae Young on the weak side help. It was Trae Young coming in to help on the weak side. Trae Young's not stopping Ben Simmons from dunking the ball. I'm sorry. Even to actually make an attempt to make him do so, it would probably have to be a flagrant foul because he's just not equipped to block Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, go on.
Just in Ben Simmons' mind, like you said, he saw Trae Young there, and like he froze for a moment. Like in his mind, he was like, I can't put this up. I can't afford. Like you said, they already been doing the hack of Simmons, so he knows worst case scenario they're gonna foul me, But you have to look at it like I am underneath this rim. I jump up and put my arm up. I'm dunking the ball, the ball
essentially.
And I know we'll probably dive into him a little bit later, but in Giannis' situation is completely different from Ben Simmons because at least Giannis will attempt to take the dunk. He will look to finish. If he happens to get fouled, he gets fouled. But Ben Simmons got to the point where he was avoiding the contact because he didn't want. And at that moment, I knew the game was over. I knew it was over. I texted the group chat. Ben Simmons has officially lost it. He is off the deep end. I think he scored something, George, like 18 points in the last 3 games.
I think because Inside the NBA had it. They had a stat. It was from games 4 through 7. He was 3 for 3 in the fourth quarter. For only 11 points.
Yep.
He didn't score. He didn't attempt a single shot in Game 6, nor Game 5. I think it was just Game 4 and Game 7. He went 1 for 1 and 2 for 2. Which, I mean, if you're supposed to be the Batman or Robin to Joel Embiid, you can't do that.
No.
And it's just and it goes back to what are you doing in the gym? Because this Ben Simmons is not the Ben Simmons from the summer league when he got drafted.
This ain't the healthy Ben Simmons. This ain't the hungry Ben Simmons. This is Ben Simmons who is all but sure to get money because they're gonna have to pay a guy. Somebody's gonna have to pay this guy something because his ability to set teammates up and defend at a high level is crucial. Is a crucial bit to why Philly held on to this for so long, hoping that he could turn this around. Hopefully, he can get out of his own head. And like you said, George, it makes you wonder, what has he been doing the last 2 summers? You know, like you haven't even attempted. At least it was Giannis, almost to a fault now. Giannis will take a long mid-range at a fault because he knows the team's going to leave it to him.
Yeah.
You know, at least he's willing to do that. Ben Simmons, if you're daring him to shoot that mid-range, he's passing the ball to somebody. You know, he's looking to immediately get the ball out of his hand because he had no intent to shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a Ben Simmons fan, which I am, I think George is too. Nobody's here to rag on the guy. We hope he gets better.
Well, maybe you are.
Well, I like Ben Simmons. I do. I think he's a good guy. But you know, what the turning point for me hopefully is he's opted out of the Australian Olympic Games this offseason to improve his game, to spend more time in the gym.
Yeah.
Which, if you're a team that's going to trade for Ben Simmons, this is what you want to hear. This is encouraging signs because you don't want the same Ben Simmons who's, at least, you know what, George, even if he just works on his free throws, I'll be fine.
That'd be something.
You know, like, just work. If you can just work on that, you know, I don't need you to be a good 3-point shooter. I just need you to be at least confident at the free throw line. You know.
And the thing is that we have to take into account, his time in Philly is done. It's over. It's over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just trade him for crumbs. I said it when they got eliminated. Trade him for crumbs. He's not the NBA player that you thought he was. He's not the Magic Johnson that everyone envisioned him to be. He's not LeBron. He's none of that. He's Ben Simmons, a guy that can't shoot or refuses to shoot, but can pass the ball and be a facilitator. Everyone says, well, maybe he's more of a Draymond Green. Well, I don't think Ben Simmons sees himself as a Draymond Green complement. He sees himself as a Magic, as a LeBron, and as long as he keeps that mentality, he's not going to succeed in this league. As far as trade partners, there's been rumblings about Portland trying to shake things up to keep him happy, to keep Dame Lillard happy.
You have to keep Dame happy.
Straight for among other things, the CJ McCollum for Ben Simmons trade.
That would be the premise of the trade. You'll probably throw here their pieces here.
And there are issues with that, mostly because Ben Simmons would go back to his natural role as a forward and not a point guard.
Mm-hmm. And you know what it does, George? The one reason why I really like that move is because, like I was telling Isaac, you can't win these days with your backcourt being 6'3" and 6'4". You know, like you're going to get eaten up and pick and rolls religiously down the court. And Portland has been traditionally a bad defensive team for this reason. At least, you know, if you do acquire a Ben Simmons, the one thing you know he can do is defend. You know that for certain. He's a hell of a defender. So you'll be, you know, boosting where, okay, you know, Dame, we're not asking you to go try to guard Donovan Mitchell on a nightly basis. That would be Ben Simmons, you know, responsibility. You don't need to go guard Devin Booker. That can be Ben Simmons' responsibility. You know, it takes a little bit of defensive pressure off Damian Lillard. The same way almost Chris Paul has done for Devin Booker, where now Chris Paul takes a lot of the tougher guard assignments, you know. So just something like a reason why I think that deal would, and then obviously it'll work for Philly as well. You know, CJ McCollum's not afraid to shoot the ball. The one thing that Ben Simmons is afraid to do is the one thing that CJ McCollum is not afraid to do. You know?
Yeah, and if you're Philly, a CJ McCollum pairing in your backcourt would just make question marks for your defense, which can be because I think you would essentially be just keeping Seth Curry and have a Seth Curry and CJ McCollum backcourt essentially. But then your defense would have to be a huge liability. So you'd have to get a couple of 3-and-D guys to match up with Tobias Harris.
Who's also not a traditional.
There's a lot of defensive issues here.
It'll really just be Joel Embiid out there.
Yeah.
Essentially covering up everybody's mistakes.
But I think that trade would work if Mike D'Antoni doesn't get hired. I think with any other coach, that pairing of Ben Simmons and Dame Lillard would work. But with a Mike D'Antoni system, I don't think that works.
No.
Because Mike D'Antoni is a score in 7 seconds or less.
And he's a big on the 3-pointer.
Yeah, and Ben Simmons isn't that kind of guy. He doesn't Maybe, and the thing is, because I hear what you're saying is that he's going to work on,
No,
he
yeah,
skipped the Olympics and he's going to work in
yeah,
the
yeah.
gym.
Work on the
But
game.
it's a huge difference when you're at an LA Fitness in the basketball court at a gym, just shooting threes where there's no crowd, there's no defender. It's just you shooting up
Exactly.
shots
Yeah, exactly.
on your own or with friends or with
Yeah.
random other NBA players. When you're in the NBA game and when you're in the playoffs, it's not that easy. There's people and crowds are back, so it's not like the bubble where it's just you and everyone else
Yeah.
on the court. It's the fans. You hear them roaring.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what happened with the Bucks Nets series. Every time Giannis went to the free throw line, they would do a countdown as if it was they'll count up.
Yeah.
To see how long Giannis would take to shoot a
Yeah.
free throw,
To shoot
as
the
if it
free
was the
throw.
Royal Rumble. But we're waiting for the next entrant.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's great that you're gonna go work out in the gym, but are you gonna do anything substantial? Are you shooting
I,
threes in the gym? It's just gonna
I,
give ESPN and Sports Center this coverage. Look at Ben Simmons shooting
yeah,
3-pointers.
yeah. Honestly, it should just be a confidence booster for him. He shouldn't look at anything more. That's why I say, if I'm him, just work on free throw shooting. Don't even worry about expanding beyond the arc, because you're not going to turn into a great 3-point shooter overnight. It's just not going to happen.
But I think that's what's going to happen is that he's going to put off this show about how he's working in the gym and he's working hard, and then he's going to release videos and it's him shooting free throws or him shooting 3-pointers.
Well, you remember it was, I believe, a year and a half ago where those videos surfaced in the summertime of him getting those 3-point shots out of the corner, and everyone was like, "Oh, Ben Simmons can shoot the three," which we all admit, if he actually could do that in a game, he'll be
a top player, right?
Yeah, you'll be dangerous. But until you actually do that, well, they're just videos to me. You know.
It's just videos that can go viral. It's videos that give Sports Center something to talk about during the NBA offseason. But it means nothing to me unless you're going 10 for 12 in a game or something, or 3 for 4 in a game.
On jump shots.
Just unless I see it in the actual NBA regular season or playoffs, those videos mean nothing to me.
Exactly.
But I don't know where else you go. Sacramento, maybe you could convince.
They're blowing it up, George. They are blowing it up.
I mean, Luke Walton's coming back for another season.
All the reports were this is the year they are going to. I know they said De'Aaron Fox is certainly a movable target. They're looking to shop him around.
Yeah.
They have officially kicked the dirt on Marvin Bagley.
Yes.
He's also probably will be out the door. A lot of people are speculating Buddy Hield to the Lakers because of the shooting interest there to pair with LeBron. I think the contract may be a little too hefty. I don't think a team like Lakers will want to invest that money in a Buddy Hield when you probably can get a little bit better of a player than Buddy Hield. I will look at Buddy Hield going to a team, ironically, the team we just kind of talked about in Philly. If Philly can somehow land a Buddy Hield with the he's a confident shooter. He feeds off the crowd. He's one of those big time performers who we haven't been able to see performing big time.
Almost like a Devin Booker, almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because, the Kings have just been god-awful since he's entered the league. But, I feel like if given the chance to, we will see the best of Buddy Hield. And I'll be real with you, George. I'm not convinced Marvin Bagley is completely done. Now, in Sacramento, he's done. He's washed. It is all over there. He can barely get minutes on an awful team. Yeah. It's clear they don't know how to use them. Clear. But I think
that's just Luke Walton.
Thank you. So I look at Marvin Bagley as I don't think Marvin Bagley ever going to be a guy who can play 30 minutes a game. No, I don't think he'll ever be that guy. But could he start for you and play 25, 26 minutes? Yeah, he probably could. At center, though, I would think you would need to have him bulk up, make a commitment to bulking up.
Yeah.
And then a commitment to playing center. Because he's not an everyday power forward. He's just not.
I see that situation, and I raise you another one. So I agree with you. Philly would be best. But package Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, both for Ben Simmons, because Harrison Barnes has cemented himself as that power forward.
They love Harrison Barnes.
They
All
love
reports
Harrison
are saying
Barnes.
they'll keep him. He will remain there.
So it's pretty much it's Halliburton and Harrison Barnes. Everyone else is getting shipped out.
Essentially.
But if you get Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, add in a first-round pick or whatever for Ben Simmons, then you have Buddy Hield as your guard in the backcourt.
Oh, yeah.
Marvin Bagley's backing up Joel Embiid, and
Embiid.
Embiid's going to make sure he bulks up if you're backing him up.
Yep. Oh, yeah, no, he'll be the perfect guy. Marvin Bagley could take some, perfect tutelage under another back-to-the-back kind of guy. Teach him a little bit. Yeah. And also, if you're Ben Simmons, you might actually welcome the change in Sacramento. Yes. So you know what? No pressure. Mm-hmm. It's like when Brandon Ingram went to the Pelicans. No pressure. Yep. No one's expecting you to be good. So if you go out there and shock us, and you'll have Harrison Barnes, kudos to the kid. He's kind of turned his career around. You remember Harrison Barnes on Golden State with that guy who sat in the corner,
just
defended,
spot up threes.
Yeah, like occasionally he'll dunk the ball,
and it didn't work out at all.
And a lot of people were like, "Man, he should just go back to Golden State on a cheap deal and let the reins rack up." But he took a chance on himself, and kudos to him.
He's been the bright spot on that. He's now a veteran leader in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. But I got a question for you. I think that would benefit both teams.
I got a question for you. If De'Aaron Fox is on the move, where would you want to see a De'Aaron Fox go to? Because he's another one of those guys who, we just have never seen him perform on an actual team. Now, I see you smiling. Yes, your Knicks could use a De'Aaron Fox. Y'all could. Y'all really could. If y'all could acquire him, that would be
take out for Payton. We don't want him.
Yeah. I'll give you another name, George, who I know it might segue into another thing, but the Indiana Pacers. Oh. Why not go ahead and dip your hat if you're the new coach in Rick Carlisle, who, you got a lot of young, exciting pieces here. You got Brogdon, you got Karis LeVert, you got Sabonis, you got Miles Turner, who I thought was a snuffer defensive player of the year. You TJ Warren.
Yes, TJ Warren's who's good.
You got a couple of real, you got a mixture of gritty guys. You got some real tough guys on your team. And you got young promising players like Karis LeVert, who we don't even think we've seen the best. I'm on record. I thought Karis LeVert would have been the X factor if he stayed in Brooklyn. Yes, if they had Karis LeVert, man,
they probably wouldn't gotten eliminated. Should we talk about the Brooklyn Nets before we go into Rick Carlisle news?
Yeah, we should.
Because we got to talk about KD. We should. Because you said on record, if KD loses the series, he's not the best player in the league, in the world.
Nope.
And I'm just like, how do you lose to the Bucks?
Jimmy Butler didn't lose to the Bucks.
Ooh, and the only
Kawhi Leonard didn't lose to the Bucks.
LeBron James ain't lose to the Bucks.
So I'm confused, George.
I understand. It's and we talked about it in our last episode. The injuries are going to be the big excuse, and we saw it right from the get-go. Well, Kyrie's hurt. He's out. James Harden, he's got the hammy. He can't be. He's not himself. Okay. But what I've seen from Nets fans is now they're putting the blame on Joe Harris. Oh, if Joe Harris, if he was the sharpshooter we thought he was, he would have made those shots, and we would have won this game this series in 5.
You're relying on Joe Harris.
Well, Joe Harris, he's a good player, but he's not
a good 3-point shooter. Yeah,
that's all he is. And you knew this from the beginning of the season.
That's the equivalent of the Lakers being like, well, man, let me tell you, if Alex Caruso would have hit those threes, man, it would have been real different.
That's all he does. That's all he does. I know he didn't shoot the three well, but you relied on him. You put pressure on him.
That's a problem. Yes, that's a problem. That's a real problem.
That's like in football terms, like your best receivers are out. And instead of trying to do a play action running back, you're relying on your fullback to make a play. So that's a fullback, sir. All he does is block and run.
Exactly.
And barely runs for that. All he does is block, and you're asking him to get 20 carries?
No.
What are you doing? That's not his job. But it also goes back to and this is I was preaching this all season. This Nets team does not have the depth. They don't have the defense to compete.
They don't got the size.
And I said if anything were to happen to the big three, they would not. They would not.
Yeah, exactly.
And I said it from the beginning of that James Harden trade. They will not win a chip if one of these guys gets hurt because they don't have the depth. They traded every young talent on their bench, every draft pick they could have acquired,
every promising player,
everyone outside of I think Spencer Dinwiddie, who Spencer Dinwiddie now is going into free agency to secure the bag. And it's just and now the offseason, you look at it because KD he's going into the Olympics now. He's going to compete, which tells me he's going to try to win a gold medal to make up for not winning a chip, which is fine. Win a gold medal for the USA, whatever, but you didn't win the NBA championship.
Nope. Didn't even get to the NBA
didn't even get. And Stephen A. Smith even said it. The Brooklyn Nets getting eliminated out of the second round will make them underlings to the New York Knicks making it as a 4 seed.
Yeah.
So the New York Knicks remain the better team in New York because the Knicks, no one expected the Knicks to be the 4 seed, but underperformed with all this talent. And now you have to think about extensions, which is going to go into your cap space.
And even if you're Kevin Durant at this point, you have to really seriously evaluate what's going on. Because you remember all season we were talking, do Kyrie really want to play basketball? Is his head into basketball? He seems very much ready and willing to drop basketball on a dime. So now you have to confront Kyrie to be like, are you going to be here 3-4 years down the line? Because if you're not, why would I stay here? And James Harden, the same thing. Yeah. You have to seriously start thinking long term here. The Brooklyn experiment, I said if they were going to win some titles, they had a 3-year span to do it.
I gave them 2 years. I didn't give them
They are down a year.
They are down a year. They have to win next year, or this is all being blown up.
Blown up. Yeah, it's an immediate. We tried. It'll go back to when Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Joe Johnson and Darren Williams.
And at least with the Kevin Garnett, Joe Johnson, that team.
At least you knew they were old.
Yeah, you knew they were at the tail end of their careers. They were just trying to win a chip. Just as the veterans. The youngest player I think was Joe Johnson and Darren Williams, and they were in their early 30s, entering their mid 30s, so they weren't even that young.
No,
and it's baffling how the Brooklyn Nets messed this up. Like, how do you fuck this up?
I mean,
you have three, and you have Blake Griffin too, who's showed he still can dunk. He hasn't dunked in 2 years.
Remember when I said DeAndre Jordan was going to be unplayable?
And look what happened. He was unplayable.
Unplayable. People forget, like, DeAndre Jordan, like, he's as bad as a free throw shooter as Ben Simmons is. DeAndre Jordan is that bad.
Yeah.
The only reason why we're not talking about that is because he's never in the game late enough for that to happen.
Yeah. And they know better. They know better. But now you're the Brooklyn Nets, and you're like, all right, well, we have to try to re-sign 2 out of, if not all 3 of our star players. And then outside of that, we have to convince Blake Griffin to get the league a veteran minimum, take a big pay cut. Mm-hmm. And I was telling this to a Nets friend of mine. I'm like, all 3 of them have to take bigger pay cuts than what LeBron, Bosh, and Wade had to take when they were in Miami. Mm-hmm. Because at least in Miami, you could get away with it and say, well, there's no income tax.
No income tax.
So the pay cuts can actually be okay because you're still getting most of the money.
Because you're still going to make more in Miami than you would have made somewhere else.
But now you're in Brooklyn, you're in New York. Those pay cuts may hurt a bit.
So you may after a while.
Keep most of that money.
Especially when you think about, George, that this is probably going to be their last payday.
Yeah.
Like Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant are all already in their 30s. They're not getting any younger with serious health concerns and the way the league is turning. You want to make sure you get your bag when you get your chance to get your bag. You see LeBron, he was doing these 1 year opt-in, opt-outs so he could cash in on one last big deal.
Yeah. And now Brooklyn's in trouble because the Knicks now have changed their culture around crazy. They're and all postseason in the first round, everyone was saying the Knicks are one player away. They're one player away.
They're about a real. Like we said when the Knicks got eliminated, Julius Randle just can't be your number one. He can't be your number one. But could he be your third or second option? Sure. He just can't be your number one. So now, if they get that De'Aaron Fox, if they can somehow swindle Chris Paul from the Phoenix Suns, if they can somehow land a Bradley Beal, if they can come up with a deal to get Damian Lillard out of Portland, these are all people. If they can get Zach LaVine out of Chicago, if they can just manage to get one of these prolific scorers to their team, it's going to elevate them. They're going to take.
And this is a Knicks team that competed every single game against the Nets, whether they had their big three or big two. Or
they played them tough.
Competitive down the line.
And it's just like,
imagine if that team had Zach LaVine. That in regular season series probably would have been split. Probably would have been 3-1 Nets or 3-1 Knicks. Who knows? But it wouldn't have been a sweep that it was.
Imagine if they had a Zach LaVine against the Hawks.
Oh boy,
we might not even be talking about the Knicks being home right now.
Yeah, you can talk about the Knicks being the Hawks right now with Julius Randle and RJ Barrett coming out.
I know I text you once the Hawks eliminated the Sixers. Well, that if you're a Knicks fan, that loss to the Hawks don't look half bad now.
Yeah, because now you're like, okay, this is a team that is actually on the run. This is a team that can actually compete for the chip.
Yeah, it might be in the NBA Finals with the way they stunned the Milwaukee Bucks last night.
Oh, all right. Let's get into that game then. Boy, Trae Young has no fear, and I love it. This is Ice Trae. He's starting to become one of my favorite players. I might buy a Trae Young jersey.
I wouldn't blame you.
Because this man, boy, and the thing about Giannis and the Bucks is that you mentioned how it's different for Giannis because at least he attempts to get to the free throw and he just takes his sweet ass time on the free throw line prepping.
Yeah.
But when you're relying on Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, who are very inconsistent scorers,
I'll really say this loss really comes down to Chris Middleton, who I was praising last time we spoke. I was praising the maturity in Chris Middleton because it looked like he seemed to have picked up his game a little bit. A 15-point game in your very first game against the Hawks, you can't have that. You need if Drew Holiday is going to give you 33 and Giannis is going to give you 34, at least if you're Chris Middleton, you give him 21, and you run away with this game. 21, and this is not even a close game. But you gave them 15. Yep. And Trae Young, I mean, you spoke on it. 48, 11, and 7 last night. 46, 11. Like John Collins, sure, he had 23 and 15, but the show really relied there on Trae Young was 40, almost damn near 50. So you can't let a guy like Trae Young eat you alive like this, especially when Drew Holiday is guarding this guy and still giving you 33 on the other end. You can't lose that game. You can't lose that game. That's a game you can't lose.
It's not, and this is again on Mike Budenholzer. It's almost poetic that it would be the Atlanta Hawks, a team that he built from the ground up
with the 5 All-Stars
that would do this. That would do this to his team. Because Trae Young, and it wasn't just Trae Young. Danilo Gallinari had a good game. John Collins, they both had good games. It was all around the team had players who had 15 plus points, 20 plus points, along with Trae Young's 48. So it was just
with the Bucks, it was just Drew Holiday and Giannis.
Yeah, pretty much. And Drew Holiday got his ankles broken. Went across. Someone needed to give him a map. I don't know where he was going. And to make matters worse, Trae Young shimmied on him. And drained the 3. And I'm like, if that's not the next level, if that's not the next gen Steph Curry, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean, we knew the comparison when he came out. We knew who we were comparing the man with. endless range that he shoots the ball with it's it's remarkable. At some point, I think this series is going to have to turn. If Drew Holiday is going to be asked to be the second option to abuse Trae Young guarding him, I think you have to make the switch and put Chris Middleton on Trae Young. You're going to have to put the bigger body on him.
Yeah,
you just can't. You can't force him to get to just rise up over you and pull whenever he wants to. With Chris Middleton, at least Chris Middleton 6'7", 6'8". It'll be a little tougher to do it over him.
Yeah, and you need to find someone to box it. Like Brook Lopez isn't doing a good job on Clint Capella. I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, 19 rebounds, 12 points. Like that's
no.
You can't let
that
that
should
happen.
be Giannis doing.
Yes.
That should be Giannis. Giannis is the guy who averages about 14 rebounds a game. Giannis has to control the rebounds because the Bucks are at their best when Giannis grabs that rebound and pushes the pace. That's when the Bucks are at their best because it's just okay. Watch out, Giannis will come down the court. He's going to have to eat the rebounds, offensive and defensive, and be a solid anchor. He's going to have to be the defensive anchor like he has been all regular season for Milwaukee to win this series. Otherwise, Trae Young's going to continue doing what he's been doing to every team they played. And you got to think, they just stole one on the road. So now Milwaukee's going to have
another one.
Yeah.
They can go up 2-0 going home. This could easily be a sweep.
Yes, going home. And
I'll just say this for the Bucks. Clint Capella and John Collins combined for 35 points and 34 rebounds.
Yeah.
You can't win that way, giving it that up. We're not even talking about just Trae Young's and his 48. 35 and 34. Come on now. That's just between two players, the front court. Come on now. You can't do that. When you got Brook Lopez, who just has 7 points, 2 rebounds, it's just oof.
This is when Brook Lopez needs to be put on the block. Yeah. And they need to stop acting like Brook Lopez is some, like, for the young heads who just started watching basketball, Brook Lopez wasn't always a 3-point shooter. He was a guy who was he made noise in the NBA for being a guy who was down on the block getting you 20 a game. That's what Brook Lopez was.
Yep.
Now, obviously, with his older age, some injury.
And he recently implemented that 3-point shot because his brother Robin doesn't have the 3-point shot that he does.
No. Yeah, so recently now with the developed 3-point shot, okay, bro, you just stand on the outside, clear more space for Giannis, shoot threes. Atlanta is a small team. Atlanta is not, even Clint Capella is their tallest center, and he's 6'11", 6'10"?
Yeah.
So you still got this massive height advantage over. You need to be beating these guys up on the inside, making Trae Young pay every time he thinks to try to even remotely bring his butt to the paint. There's got to be a physical series. You can't let a player like
100%.
You can't let a player like Trae Young just get off and then I was beating my head for the Knicks to do this to him. I'm like, the Knicks someone's gonna have to put him on his butt. Just knock him down one time. Take the flagrant. The old Pat Riley approach. Okay, we'll take the technical. We understood what we did, but I guarantee you, Trae Young come down here again, he'll think twice about it. He won't be as cozy as just crossing over somebody and then coming into the lane and floating one over my center's head. No. No, there needs to be repercussions for this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They need to be more aggressive on the defensive end because Trae Young, I mean, every game until the last few games against the Knicks, they were close games, and all it took was who's the closer on each team, and Atlanta had Trae Young. The Knicks didn't have a closer.
They had Derrick Rose. They had Derrick Rose.
They had Derrick Rose and nobody else.
Basically.
But you're not. You're the Bucks. You're a championship contender supposedly. You're not the Knicks that came out of nowhere to be a 4 seed. You're a team that has an top tier head coach in Mike Budenholzer, who came from the San Antonio system. You have Giannis, who's supposed to be the next LeBron James.
Supposed to be a top player in the league. He's supposed to be a top 3 player in the league.
Yeah. And it's just When are they going to show up? Are these role players enough? And it goes back to, does Giannis have enough help? Because Chris Middleton, for years they've been trying to convince us Chris Middleton is Giannis's best
You
teammate.
remember last time we spoke, George,
I know you were praising him, but I'm
I
not
argue
on that
Chris
level
Middleton.
with you yet because I don't see it as consistently enough.
Oh no, it definitely could be a lot more consistent. But I'm arguing at least he's taking over these late in the games. Chris Middleton's the one with the ball in his hand, and not Giannis.
Yeah,
which is the part that worries me. If my superstar is not deferring on the defensive end, where he's like, coach didn't tell me to guard him, so I'm not going to guard him, and on the offensive end, he's not demanding the ball because we're running the system. What type of top 3 player are you? Because I guarantee you, late in the games, guess who the ball hand was in against the Bucks? Kevin Durant. Yeah, I guarantee you, late in the game, who's on the Lakers team? Who's going to have that ball in his hand? I guarantee it's LeBron James. The top players,
even so, look at, you just mentioned Brooklyn. They made Kevin Durant play every single minute of Game 7.
Yep.
Every single minute.
Couldn't take a minute. Couldn't take a minute
his butt off, and literally you can point to that. The only reason they lost Game 7 because Kevin Durant was exhausted.
Oh yeah, he for sure
drained every last basketball juice out of him.
He was gassed.
Yeah,
but that's what Mike D'Antoni does.
Mm-hmm.
That's
why most of his star players were injury prone.
Exactly.
Because they gassed him early, and then when it needed to come out for crunch
Mike
time.
D'Antoni don't want to go 7-8 deep. Mike D'Antoni wants to go 6 deep and run his starters into a wall because he believes that's the way it should operate. And like you said, you look at all his player history, he has it's no coincidence all his star players end up bumped and bruised, because they play a whole lot of minutes.
Yeah.
And wear and tear. And Kevin Durant, God bless him, almost delivered the goods. Almost delivered the goods.
And Chris Paul is coming back for Game 3. They're up. The Suns are up 2-0 on that series. I'm not too invested in this because I feel like the Suns are going to win, if not in 4, maybe 5 games.
Yeah.
At worst 6 games.
The Clippers were doomed when Kawhi Leonard went down.
Yeah. And it's just such a shame that he got a torn ACL because this series would have been fantastic
to watch
with Kawhi Leonard healthy. Now, can Paul George pull it off and tie it up 2-2 and leaving LA going back to Phoenix? Possibly. I don't see that happening though.
I mean, because they should have won last game if they didn't allow DeAndre Ayton to dunk the ball. but that's neither here or there.
Yeah.
Paul George has still played phenomenal basketball, which goes back to my point of maybe he just can't play with Kawhi Leonard. Maybe it's one of those scenarios where you remember when he was in Indy and he was the lone guy.
Yeah.
He played a lot of good.
Paul George, if it doesn't work out, you look good in orange and blue. I'm just saying, man. Just you could be the main guy. It's just we need a wing. It's your show. Come through.
You don't want playoff P.
Player option.
You don't want playoff P to be with those New York fans.
I want pandemic
because
P.
God forbid playoff P really comes back and he's scoring 6 points a game. You guys will let him hear it. I don't think that's the most forgiving fan base.
Pandemic P, here we come. No, but I think Paul George is he's changing his name because he is trying to show that he doesn't need Kawhi Leonard to advance and win a chip. He showed that in that Game 7 against Utah. He nearly showed it last game had DeAndre Ayton's miracle dunk not gotten through. So they could steal one off the road, but in terms of beating this team now that Chris Paul is back, because Chris Paul was out those first 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge game changer for this series. So if they are able to steal one against the Suns at home with a healthy Chris Paul in the lineup, I could change my tune and not hit the Chuck guarantee button. And hopefully the Clippers can finally cash in on all these draft picks and salaries they've given out and possibly make an NBA Finals appearance. But the Suns are just too damn good. and just all around. It's not just
Tough,
Devin Booker.
you know, same thing when I said to the Knicks that Hulk's loss don't look too bad. If you're a Laker fan, that loss to the Phoenix Suns don't look half bad right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's a
like,
possible NBA Finals Western Conference champ. Right there.
Yeah, you're talking about LeBron James and a banged up LeBron and AD at least fighting against this Phoenix Suns team.
Yeah.
You know, you can make the argument now if they were healthy, it could have been a little bit different. You could argue it.
Exactly. Exactly. It would have been tough. It would have been a great series had everyone been healthy. But let's go into the NBA coaching hires. You mentioned it earlier. Rick Carlisle just signed a 4-year deal to be the new head coach of the Indiana Pacers. I think this is his second gig as head coach of the Indiana Pacers. Of course, the last time he was coach of the Pacers, we had the Malice and the Palace. And the best Pacers team that I think they've ever seen just gone to waste because of silly fans.
Yeah. It's a real tough team, too. You know, real tough team.
Oh, yeah.
Really good team.
Oh, yeah. They had a squad back then. I think they had Steven Jackson, Metta World Peace.
They had Reggie Miller on his last legs, but still was still
Reggie Miller on his last legs, but he was still fighting for that for another shot at a chip.
Yep.
So we'll see. I mean, you mentioned Karis LeVert is a young player that they still haven't seen any of. He was out the rest of this past season, so it's going to be his first full season in Indiana. T.J. Warren is in Indiana. He's played phenomenal past couple seasons. So Rick Carlisle, he's got a little squad over here.
You got Miles Turner.
Miles Turner was a dope center.
Malcolm Brogdon. It's a really overall good roster. It's not a bad team to be taking control of. And you throw in the fact now, the thing is they got cap space, but nobody going when they go play.
Yeah, so they really have to finagle something.
They'll have to work out a trade to get one of these superstars in. But if they can manage to do so,
there are certain players out there available for trade. I mean, Kemba Walker just went to Oklahoma City Thunder for the number 16 pick.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can bring Kemba on and try to get that going, but depending on as an insurance policy for Karis LeVert, in case he's not healthy enough to be your starting point guard.
Yeah, if you're interested in him, you could definitely look his direction. Yeah. He won't be a bad person in the slightest to look at.
You can always look at Christian Wood now that Houston fell to the number 2 pick in the lottery. You can try to bring him in.
You could definitely try to bring him in as well. See if you can kindle anything. You can even see what's going on with Carlisle. See if you can. He seems to be fine with the smaller market teams. So if he's willing to, he'll be a perfect plug and play kind of guy. And then you can have Michael Brogdon go back to being the 6-man role, where I think he really thrived when he was on Milwaukee.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of positivity coming for Indiana because Rick Carlisle is in charge, and they have a bright, promising future. But as for his previous team, Dallas Mavericks, I mean, I don't know what's going on with him, with Luka Doncic and the rest of that team, but boy, they're narrowing down to Jason Kidd right now as their favorite to be hired.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how good of a fit that would be. I mean, the most memorable thing about Jason Kidd's coaching tenure in Brooklyn was when he told one of his players to hit him to get an extra timeout or extra time while they clean up. But it's weird because I don't know how good Jason. I don't know if Jason Kidd is the coach that's gonna ring bells for Luka Doncic or Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, I don't know if Jason Kidd's is he the guy you want taking over after Rick Carlisle? Because like you said, all the other prior stops we've seen Jason Kidd at, it wasn't overly, it wasn't overly impressive.
Yeah,
is what I'm gonna say. And I would look at a coach like Terry Scott. I know he got canned from Portland because a lot of people felt, he underachieved. But I think I would bring Terry Scott in before I bring Jason Kidd in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. And Rick Carlisle even said that he hopes that Jason Kidd is the next coach for the Mavericks. because it does come all together where Jason Kidd did play in Dallas.
Yeah, won that
that's where
title.
he had won the title, so it makes sense for him to go back and try to win the title as a coach. But I don't know. I don't know about that selection there. And it's really it's going to be tricky because I don't know if that's going to solve their issues with Luka Doncic.
No, because you still got to move Porzingis. You still got to fill out the roster around Luka Doncic. They don't got great cap space, so it's now you're coming up on now where you're going to have to pay Luka Doncic. He's probably going to set the market. He's probably going to become
I believe he's eligible for the Supermax. Next season.
He's probably going to become the highest paid player in the NBA.
Yeah.
The following year. So you're going to be talking about tying even more money up in their cap space. So it's not a dream job, like it's not one of those jobs where you're looking at and you're like, man, I can't wait. Like Indy with the cap space they have with the promising players, you're like, that's a good spot to land. Like last year when Tom Thibodeau landed with the Knicks, it's not a bad team to land in when you look at the pieces around them. Now you look at that, you look at the Dallas Mavericks team, you're like, yeah, I got Luka Doncic. And then a whole bunch of other question marks that I have to worry about when I get there.
Another coach that just got hired, I'm going to butcher his name, Ime Udoka. He got hired by the Boston Celtics to replace Brad Stevens. He was the Brooklyn Nets assistant. He's worked with various playoff teams, like he's been with the Sixers. He's been with the San Antonio Spurs for a number of years. So he's got coaching experience in those big moments. And I'm just going to trust Brad Stevens at this point. He probably knows what he's doing. And he's only 43 years old, so he's relatively young.
Yeah.
So he can definitely build the team in his image. But I don't think the Celtics issues were mostly the coach. It was just that roster. And what to do with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Like now all the reports coming out, you see they already moved Kemba.
Mm-hmm.
They're already off Kemba. They're going to move Marcus Smart. He's out the door. They still need a big man. You still have to figure out how to play Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and get the most out of both of them at the same time while not compromising the team.
Yes.
It's a tough situation to be in. It's a good job because you're coming into a team where you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You got promising. You already at a good start there. Like you said, I'm just gonna trust Brad Stevens, smart guy, has never steered us wrong. Have no reason to believe he don't know what he's doing. so I'm just going to go ahead and assume that he's gonna trust this hire.
Yeah, and I think Becky Hammon is also is a favorite for one of these coaching jobs because I know she's been with the San Antonio Spurs for a number of years now, and I know the Trailblazers are interested in hiring her along with Mike D'Antoni. She's being a finalist. I think she's with Mike D'Antoni getting a second interview, so she's a finalist there.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's also for I forget which other team is available. I think maybe the Pelicans interviewed her as well. And the Pelicans, that's another situation.
The Pelicans are another situation.
They had a decent coach in Alvin Gentry, who I thought was just doing what front office was telling him to do was give Zion minutes restrictions, and then next year will break his potential. And they bring in Stan Van Gundy, who I don't think was the right guy at all for any coaching gig.
I felt like they were just trying to hire a name.
And it only lasted one season, and they missed the playoffs when everyone and their mother was saying, "Hey, the Pelicans can make the play-in tournament. They can make the lower 7 or 8 seeds."
Remember we talked about that,
and we did talk about that. And I was just like, "Yeah, the Pelicans are a dark horse because they had Brandon Ingram playing all phenomenal. Lonzo Ball's playing like crazy. He improved his game like crazy.
Yep,
and it's just
he was getting good production out of Josh Hart. You still had Drew Holiday at the time.
Yeah." And then Zion was playing well, and just now They fire Sam Van Gundy. Zion's family is saying, hey,
We want him
we
out.
want him out, which is weird because it's like you've only been there 2 years.
Yeah,
Didn't make the
exactly. Usually you
playoffs.
don't hear about this stuff until like
He's not
a
even
late
eligible for an extension yet.
extension yet. Yeah.
So it's like why is this coming out now? I understand you've been through 2 head coaches in 2 different seasons, and this will be your 3rd head coach in 3 seasons.
And
But
I know there's a funny thing going around that Master P wants to coach the
Lord.
Pelicans.
Well, now they're saying that New Orleans, the Pelicans are going to move and relocate outside of New Orleans. So they're not even going to be in the as my headset fell out. It's that the Pelicans aren't even going to be in New Orleans anytime soon. That they're up for relocation, I believe, in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to relocate. They're looking at different places to move out of New Orleans. So they're not even going to be there.
Yeah.
So sure, Master P can get hired as a coach, but that would only be 2 years maybe at most.
And then they
If they really want Master P as their head coach, I don't think they do.
Yeah, but I don't think they do.
But I would much rather go the Becky Hammon route because she comes from the Greg Popovich coaching tree, who have been successful, the Mike Budenholzers of the world that have success in this league. And I think Becky Hammon, I personally thought that Greg Popovich was going to retire this year and hand the reins off to Becky Hammon because that's who they've been breeding as to be a potential head coach.
I remember before they were really hoping Tim Duncan would take the reins. And once he stepped away, I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely Becky's show, you know?
Yeah, and good for her because I wouldn't wait for Greg Popovich to possibly hand the reins to me if he was already entertaining Tim Duncan. I'd say, okay, there's
especially since the Spurs team doesn't look as promising anymore.
Yeah, I mean, with the retirement of LaMarcus Aldridge after releasing him, DeMar DeRozan isn't the same player anymore, and he's going to free agency. That Spurs team isn't that great, and they got properly eliminated in the play-in tournament. And Becky Hammon, I think she should go for the Pelicans job because, sure, you can coach the Trailblazers and have the opportunity to coach Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum and possibly compete for a championship. But there's a lot of moving parts with that team right now. You have to decide whether you need to re-sign Carmelo Anthony again and whether you have to re-sign all these other 3-and-D wing guys. You have to see if Nikola Jokic is the what's his name? Vucevic, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, Yusuf Nurkic. My bad.
You're talking about
Yusuf Nurkic.
Yes, Nurkic. Yeah,
Yusuf Nurkic. Not. I was thinking of the Nuggets center. No, Yusuf Nurkic.
Joker, big old Joker.
But you have to think of Yusuf Nurkic is the guy because you also have Hassan Whiteside there.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot of moving pieces you have to figure out with this team because it looks like they're just assembling players with it's like 2K where you look at your team and you're like, oh, there's a lot of mid 70 overall players. Let me trade for upper 80, 85s, and that's clearly going to work. But if they don't mesh well with the system that you're running, then you're just gathering players just to gather players. They don't fit in the puzzle that you're trying to coach. And I think Becky Hammon, while that would be a great opportunity, I think it would be even better for her career if she's the one that said, okay, I have Zion Williamson, I have Brandon Ingram, we can bring back Lonzo Ball on a big deal because he's a restricted free agent and we can match any deal that any team gives him. So now we have a young core, we can build that young core, go up and have a Knicks-like season and build this team around, have the young core built around veterans. And bring guys like Trevor Ariza to help Brandon Ingram with his defense and make him more than just a sharpshooter. Make him have him evolve into a 3-and-D guy and then being a top wing player. I think that would be better because now you're building the team in your image. And whether they stay in New Orleans or move to Seattle or whatever, it's in your image. And you have those building blocks that you can help build instead of trying to salvage the Trailblazers. And that's just my thought.
I agree. No, I agree.
Because I think the Pelicans is the most appealing job right now outside of Portland. outside of Portland, I think it's the most intriguing job.
Yeah. Okay, I can agree with that.
Because everyone's been praising Zion, and he's been playing really well. But I think Becky Hammond with that San Antonio coaching style is going to do tremendous wonders for that team.
Wonders. I think so. I don't think anyone's going to be jumping for joy at the New Orleans position, especially right now with the whole Zion thing being up in the air. I feel like it's a lot of people are going to try to, like, even if you go interview for the job, like Becky and everybody else, I'm sure they're like diving in to try to speak to like Zion's family, try to get a little bit more of a backstory here on what's going on, and before you sign on, because you don't want to take the job and then not have Zion. He's the reason why
we're keeping Zion.
Yeah. Once that's taken care of, cemented, everyone knows what's going on, then I think they'll probably list the head coach. You'll hear Zion probably come out and back the supporting. And you got to also look at it. The team is still not bad. Now, you don't know what's going on with Lonzo. You might lose Lonzo, so you'll be down a point guard, and you traded Drew Holiday, so you don't have a point guard there. You'll have to fix that. Brandon Ingram, I believe, is still there. So I think you would still have a year with Brandon Ingram at least a year. If not, they might have also actually he might have got his extension last year. I feel like he got his extension last year. So you're going to have Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson to work with, which is two good building blocks there. You know what you got there. And then you can just fill out the rest of the team. You still got Steven Adams, but I don't know if I feel like Zion also is hard to say regress when he scored almost 26, 27 a game this year. You were playing well. So I can't really say he was regressing, but it looked at times that it was hard to play the two together.
Yeah.
Steven Adams doesn't do much offensively but set screens.
Yeah.
I feel maybe his value will be a little bit more useful to a team that can probably be a little bit more guard oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he landed on a team like Portland, where they're going to set a lot of screens. If he landed on a team like Charlotte, where they set a lot of screens, just trying to think of teams that, running a lot of pick and rolls, guard action for their guards to free their guards up. He'll do, he'll be big for them. In New Orleans, Zion handles a lot of the ball. Brandon Ingram handles a lot of the ball. Don't really need set screens for those guys. You're not really looking to set screens for Zion and Brandon Ingram. So again, we'll see what happens once the whole Zion thing's cleared up. That couldn't come out at a worse time. Literally, could have not come out at a worse time. Like if I'm Zion, I'm not happy with my family right now. You probably could have waited till we seen who our head coach was before that came out.
All right, last thing before we end the show. So we started the show off with Pittsburgh releasing David Castro, their two-time Pro Bowl guard. Apparently, the Steelers are looking at Trey Turner as a potential replacement for their offensive line. So apparently they had a meeting and he visited the facility and he proclaimed himself 100% healthy. That's a quote from Ian Rappaport.
Well, that's the thing. Now, I know a lot about Trey Turner because he was my longtime guard in Carolina. And Trigger Trey is what I used to call him. And I mean, he was the anchor of that Super Bowl team. We went to the Super Bowl with Cam Newton. I mean, he's an underrated pass blocker. I think he's a really good pass blocker. Really good in the run game, honestly, is where he really strives at. He struggled with injury history, just why we let him go. We traded him actually for Russell Okung, who we got back out of the deal with the Chargers. But I was sad to see him go because we still, to this day, would love to have him back, which is why I'm kind of shocked that Carolina's not trying to rekindle something because not like we left on bad terms. It was a mutual thing. He was ready to go. I think he felt like his time was maybe up. He didn't need to change the scenery. We needed to change the scenery. And if he could come back at a cheaper price, I don't see why not. But if he's 100% healthy, the Steelers, I would still question why you let David Castro go.
I was just going to say
don't get me wrong. That's not I'm like Trey Turner's better than David Castro because he's not. He did miss 6 games last season with a groin injury. Yeah,
and it's just
And it's been those type of injuries. Yeah, it's been those type of injuries for him, where he's just missed a couple of games here and there, and you can really use them in your lineup, especially in a team like Pittsburgh, where it's going to be questionable, where you're protecting old Ben Roethlisberger. You would like to make sure that the guys protecting him are going to be there. Yeah. But they got bigger issues to worry about. Was trying to replace Pouncey, Villanueva. They lost in free agency to the enemy Ravens. So they're restructuring this whole offensive line. I believe even Raymond Foster's gone. I don't even think he's there anymore. So they're changing the tide there.
Pouncey retired.
So Yep. So
now, apparently, according to Mike Garofalo of NFL Network, DeCastro has had some ankle issues for quite some time and had it evaluated after having surgery prior to the start of last season. And the reason that the Steelers cut DeCastro was apparently because DeCastro was contemplating retirement. Now, I don't know if that's a reason to cut someone, to not have them retire, but I mean, I understand ankle injuries are a big thing, especially if you're a right guard, pass protector, run blocker. You need your healthy ankles, but it's just DeCastro. I could have seen a DeCastro and
Trey. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Turner.
Why? Yeah, why did it have to be one or the other? You need guards. You're gonna plug them both in.
And now, if you're the Steelers, you cut DeCastro, assuming he's just gonna retire. What if he just says, "Wow, I was really gonna retire as Steeler after being here my whole career. Now I'm just probably gonna go to Cleveland, or I'm gonna go to Baltimore, or I'm gonna go to Cincinnati, and I'm just gonna show you Steelers that you made a mistake, and I'm not gonna retire." Or he could go to the Jets, or he could go to the Chiefs, or wherever. He can go wherever he wants now, and now you put a chip on his shoulder. So despite the ankles, despite the surgery, he did play last year. Not like he missed most of the time.
But he played.
But you're just going off of Turner's statement of, "Oh, I'm 100% healthy." Well, what if he fails a physical? Now you just cut DeCastro, and you have to try to make sure that Trae Turner passes his physical and is 100% healthy to sign on your team.
So
unless they're going to finagle the physical just to make sure Trae Turner gets on the team so you don't look like you have egg on your face.
Yeah, they don't look like idiots.
This is a questionable move on the Steelers' part, especially with Big Ben. I think in the last year of his career, trying to battle for another chance at a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's what this comes down to, right? It comes down to Big Ben coming back, one last hurrah. You would love to have them send off on a good note, you know. But now, the more and more you look at this team, the more you have to worry about Ben Roethlisberger's well-being, and how soon will we see that old new backup quarterback come flying in the game? And I think Najee Harris is going to have a very Derrick Henry-esque run heavy season this year, because
not the numbers that Derrick Henry gets.
Oh no. Just as far as the carries go, because let's be real, nobody can replicate what this man.
You know what I'm gonna do a different comparison. It's gonna be like Le'Veon Bell with the Jets. He's gonna have a tough issue with that offensive line, because he's gonna have to run around and try to find some holes, and that offensive line is not the same as it used to be.
No.
Yeah, that's best of luck to Steelers fans. I hope you're okay with this move, because I'm baffled. Anyway, make sure you follow us at Off the Bench Pod. Follow us on all podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, wherever you find your podcasts. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit the bell notification to stay notified whenever a video goes live. And we'll see you guys later. Say goodbye to the people, Roll.
Have a good one, my people.